Today, I will share with you a validation of the scales of evolutionary conflict measure, a new tool for evolution education. The idea that individuals may harbor feelings of conflict with evolutionary principles and that such conflict may be linked to their acceptance of evolution has been discussed in the literature for decades. Despite widespread recognition of its importance for evolution education research and practice, only a few studies in evolution education have empirically quantified conflict, which is undoubtedly related to the paucity of easy-to-administer assessment tools on this topic. Developing robust measures of conflict with evolutionary ideas could facilitate more frequent measurement in educational settings, raise instructor awareness of conflict levels in students, and foster rigorous evaluations of educational interventions designed to reduce conflict. Such a measure could also lead to several conceptual advantages in the field of evolution education. First, feelings of conflict may impact evolution acceptance in ways that have not been previously accounted for in prior work. For example, religiosity and evolution knowledge are commonly explored contributors to evolution acceptance. However, while it has been shown that individuals may be conflicted about evolution because of their religious beliefs and cultures, they may also be conflicted for many other reasons, and religious respondents may not be conflicted at all. In fact, Nehm et al. Found that conflict with evolution was actually more strongly associated with degree of acceptance than was religiosity. Therefore, conflict with evolution has the potential to be important as a unique explanatory factor of acceptance that encompasses a more expansive range of conflict indicators beyond religiosity, and a mediator of the relationship between evolution acceptance and religiosity. A second conceptual advantage that a robust measure of conflict could facilitate is a broadening of the construct's scope to include multiple scales of social group membership. An individual's perception of conflict with evolution is likely to be situated within broader social contexts, and prior work suggests that the attitudes that are thought to be held by members of one's social groups, such as their family, their friends, their teachers, and their church members, could actually be an important contributor to their personal conflict with evolution. Individuals could also have different causes of conflict. Some could have conflict related to their family, some related to their community, some related to religiosity, and perhaps at different levels. And these different sources of conflict could in turn contribute to different magnitudes of evolution acceptance in different ways. Measuring multiple scales of conflict perception could therefore help to reveal an important and measurable cause of the observable acceptance differences that have been documented among demographic groups in the literature. Overall, much more needs to be known about individual, familial, and community causes of conflict and their potential interactions with other variables. The Scales of Evolutionary Conflict Measure, or SECOM, was developed as a first step towards advancing understanding of the perceptions of conflict with evolution. In this talk, I will begin with a description of the conceptual frameworks used to develop the SECOM instrument, provide results from a formal evaluation of the quality of the inferences drawn from instrument measures, and finally, I will briefly discuss what the SECOM adds to the field of science education. Two frameworks were used to develop and evaluate the SECOM: a measurement framework, which aims to support claims drawn from instrument measures, and a construct framework, which delineates the content domain and outlines the conceptualization of the target construct. I will discuss each conceptual framework and use this image to keep track. I'll begin by discussing the measurement framework. Validity and reliability evidence may be used to support claims about what instruments are able to measure. Specifically, we use the framework of construct validity, which encompasses the gathering of evidence in alignment with several separate but interrelated facets. In this study, we investigated three facets of construct validity evidence: I'll describe each briefly along with our specific analytical approach. Evidence based on test content addresses the relevance and representativeness of test content in light of the intended construct. To generate evidence based on test content for the SECUM, we used a literature review and expert judgments to specify the content domain, conceptualize the target construct, and operationalize it in the form of a closed response test. Evidence based on internal structure addresses how well the instrument generates robust measures of the desired construct. In order to generate robust measures of a latent construct, a specific structure of the underlying instrument-derived data must be present. This structure may be considered a benchmark for productive measurement, and only if this structure is present can the latent measures generated actually be interpreted. Roche analysis and item response theory more broadly are the most appropriate approaches for estimating continuous latent measures from quantitatively ordered response data. Instrument-derived response data that do not adhere to the assumption of these Roche models would suggest that they are unproductive for measurement. Evidence based on relationships with other variables addresses the degree to which measures external to the instrument relate in a theorized manner. External variables may include measures that address the same or similar constructs, or measures that the test is expected to predict or cause. We use correlations and structural equation modeling of theoretically associated variables to address this form of validity evidence. Now I'll discuss the construct framework. The literature review indicated that the construct of conflict perception should encompass three core attributes. First, it should consider the nature of human social structures, such as individuals, families, communities. Second, it should probe conflict as it relates to human values, cultures, and beliefs. And third, it should not constrain sources of conflict to single topics such as religion. Therefore, we conceptualized conflict perception with evolution at multiple, broadly defined social scales, namely individual, family, and community. These scales seek to capture the diversity of group memberships that a person may hold. Three indicator variables defined each scales: values, culture, and beliefs. All three indicators have been explicitly linked to evolutionary conflict and evolution acceptance in the literature and can be both related to and extend beyond religion. In summary, we conceptualize the SECUM as having three subscales of perceived conflict: individual, family, and community, each of which was defined by three items: values, cultures, and beliefs. The instrument has 9 items total, all of which are Likert scale format. I will now move on to evaluating whether the SECUM is a productive and useful measure of the intended construct. There are 3 research questions I will evaluate. Does the SECUM adhere to well-accepted criteria of robust measurement? Are latent SECUM measures convergent with measures of similar constructs? And does the SECUM contribute to the explanation of evolution acceptance above and beyond the contributions of religiosity and evolution knowledge? For this part of the study, data were collected from 1,179 undergraduate students in a large research university in the northeastern United States. Many countries, including Australia and the United States, struggle with evolution education, and many studies report low to moderate levels of evolution acceptance. The book to the right discusses evolution education in both of these countries. While instrument-derived data must be evaluated from diverse settings, providing validity evidence for the SECUM from this U.S. sample is an important first step. This table outlines the results for each form of validity evidence addressed in this study. I will describe each result briefly and show accompanying figures and information on the right side of the screen. However, in the interest of time, I will not explain the accompanying information or figures, and so they will likely be most valuable to those who have expertise in psychometrics. Viewers may pause this presentation to view these slides more closely. The first result is that our panel of experts agreed that the items were representative of the target construct. We also found that all 9 items fit the Roche model, which indicates that they were productive for measurement of the intended latent trait. Dimensionality analyses supported a 3-dimensional structure of the items, which clustered according to the social scale: individual, family, and community. The SECUM also demonstrated acceptable precision and reliability in its measurement of the intended construct. Overall, the SECUM items were able to reliably separate respondents into at least 10 linearly arranged bins representing their latent magnitude of perceived conflict with evolution. Finally, there was a significant positive correlation between the family conflict subscale and a related inclusion of others in self item, in which respondents were asked to select the set of circles that most closely approximated their perceived compatibility between their family and evolution ideas. Collectively, the results shown here provide 3 forms of validity evidence for the inferences generated by the SECUM instrument. Next, in order to illustrate how the SECUM could advance understanding of the complex web of variables connected to evolution acceptance, structural equation modeling was used to evaluate hypothesized causal relationships among the SECUM scales and between the SECUM and evolution acceptance. We've measured evolution acceptance using the IC instrument. In this path diagram, latent traits are represented by ovals, and each latent trait is defined by its indicator items, represented here by arrows leading out of each latent trait. Several other variables that have been shown to be important in the literature, knowledge, religiosity, and background variables, were also collected to examine if and how the SECUM enhances explanatory insights. Assuming a correct model, 2 major findings emerged. First, family and community conflict both had unique causal contributions to individual conflict, with family showing a stronger and modest impact. Second, individual conflict had a significant and modest causal impact on all scales of evolution acceptance, above and beyond the contributions of religiosity, evolution knowledge, and background variables. We show that a 1 standard deviation increase in individual conflict caused a 0.47 to 0.59 standard deviation decrease in acceptance. Therefore, individual conflict had a modestly sized causal impact on all scales of acceptance that was above and beyond the contributions of evolution knowledge and religiosity. We've shown that the SECUM does adhere to well-accepted criteria of robust measurement. Latent SECUM measures were convergent with measures of similar constructs, and the SECUM contributed to the explanation of evolution acceptance above and beyond the contributions of religiosity and evolution knowledge. I'll now discuss what the SECUM adds to science education. The SECUM is an easy-to-administer instrument designed to measure perceptions of conflict with evolution at multiple scales. It embodies 3 attributes discussed in the literature. It addresses the hierarchical nature of human social structures, conceptualized here as individual, family, and community. It probes conflict as it relates to human values, cultures, and beliefs, and it allows conflict to encompass diverse sources, not just religion. 3 forms of validity evidence, content, internal structure, and convergent, supported the meaning of the inferences drawn from SECUM measures. The SECUM was designed to be used flexibly so that researchers may apply it in a manner that best aligns with their hypotheses and analytical frameworks. Specifically, the subscales may be implemented separately or together and used in several theory-driven orientations. Overall, generating robust measures of the perception of conflict with evolution using the SEACUM has the potential for advancing understanding of the factors accounting for evolution acceptance and for informing practices and outcomes relating to evolution education. Thank you very much for your time.